Happy New Year, everyone. And I do trust this year will be good for all of us. And we have to start thinking that way, positive, optimistic thinking. So we are grand lao into the year 2025. Hi, I'm Gail Minogue. I'm your numerologist, and I wanted to go over this year just a brief synopsis of 2025 of what we can anticipate here in the United States, and it will touch on the energy of the entire world at Earth right now for the year 2025. So one of the things that we want to always look at is the universal year 2025. We always add it together and we reduce that number. And in this case, it reduces to the number 9. So this is a universal cleanup year. One of the things you're noticing is the ending of a lot of regimes or countries from Syria, France, United States. You just go across the spectrum of the world. There's about 70 nations that have had changes in their leadership this year, starting into 2025. So it's a big moment of time. It's a big ending of the old way. Not a lot of people want to let go of the old way, but there's always chaos involved about letting go, cleaning up. But the United States, it is in a universal 9 year, but its own personal year from its date of birth, which we do by adding the month, which is July, the day, which is July 4. You add that to the universal year. So 7 and 4 is 11 or 2. So we add 2 to the 9, it becomes 11. 2, we reduce everything. So for the United States, this is a 2 personal year in a 9 universal year. What does that mean for the United States in a 2 personal year? Patience, diplomacy, tact, cooperation. It is not what we think, because we've just come out of a 1 year where we screamed our head off and we started to do new things. We had the election and all that. But now we're going to have to, if anything is going to work this year, there's going to have to be compromise and patience. We're not a patient country. We are a 5 life path country. July 4, 1776. That's a 5 reduction. So a 5 is always about change, moving forward, keep moving, indulging itself. It wants change overall. So if we look at the United States in a 2-year personal year, only for this year, it has to compromise. It has to be patient. It cannot force its way. So you're going to see that a lot of the, quote, comments made during the election will not come to pass. Yes, we'll have some immigration evictions, but nothing to the extent that was told. Yes, we will have other things, so cleaning up the bureaucracy, much of which will not be able to be done because of the different counts in the legislature or the Congress. So a lot of the things that we thought will happen, there'll be, noise and action in the beginning, but they'll be stymied. Because, say, for instance, if you start eviction immigrants out of the country and their families and their children, and you start camps on the border, and this gets in the press, the American population is going to get very upset. It's not going to happen. There's going to be some, for sure. There's going to be a lot of pushback. So that's one area, okay? And then you're going to start doing efficiencies. Well, much of this gets stymied. So yes, there'll be some forward push or change, but nothing like you thought for this year, because patience, compromise is essential. And if you force things, it kind of blows up. You're not going to clean up Putin's war on day 1. It's going to end, right? Right? And that's being walked back. A lot of the promises are, quote, being walked back, because these were what slogans to get elected. Basically, if you look at it, this election was a Harris and a Musk election, Elon Musk. It was smart marketing through new chains of media rather than the old cable networks and all that stuff. But the thing about what we're going to find going forward is we're going to have a lot of what I call one-term presidencies. This started with Trump in 2016. he had 1 term. Then you had Biden, he had 1 term. Now you have lame duck President Trump again, 1 term. And my figuration is that the next election in 2028 will also be a 1-term president. Because these are the chaotic times in America. They continue to the early 30s. So when it's going to calm itself down and start the new life in the 30s, the election of 32 or 2032, okay, in 8 years is the election that will probably have a 2-term president. Because back in 2015, I've spoken about this before, we started the chaos. 2015, and then Trump got elected in 2016, and the chaos has just accelerated, and it's going to keep accelerating all through the 20s. So I'm doing a Zoom program on the 11th, Saturday, January 11th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So if you want to join in, it's going to be a 90-minute program on all the different areas that will be changed or not changed going forward, from the economy to this to that. They'll all be discussed on the 11th of January at 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to sign up for this, just go to my website, gailminogue.com, and go ahead and sign up and register. And I think you'll get a lot of your questions answered. We also have a Q&A as well. So I look forward to that. But moving forward in this year, one of the things that you'll have to remember, America goes through these 50-year cycles. And it goes through the big 80-year cycles. What's happened now is that the 50-year cycle and the 80-year cycle, which is standard in America's chart, they're meeting at the same time. So this sets up a huge explosion of change. Watch the institutions crumble. You're seeing the educational system crumble. You're seeing the judiciary system also get challenged all over the place. From the number on the Supreme Court to politicians going against laws and trying to squeeze whatever and this and ever. And there'll be more institutions. The health institution, we have a assassination of the president of a big health organization, the largest one in the United States, and I think in the world, actually. And 1/3 of this company's applications for service were denied. Now, there's a lot of resentment around the hospitalization of Americans and the health care of Americans. This is another thing that's finally going to be addressed. That, and also the education, a lot, and now the immigrant, all of this over the next 4 years. So it's a messy time, very messy. I don't know how much will really get done, but it'll cause a lot of breakdown, which is necessary to break down these systems that have been really from 80 years ago, some of it from end of World War II to the Reagan era, and the actual smacking of closing is of the Reagan era, that's closing. So this is 1980 to 2030. That's when this period will finally finish. So you're going to have a lot more involvement from the bottom up, from people versus the head down. We've had what I call head down, the ruling of the experts. That's all changing. Now you have a jillion experts. You have all these comments and people, commentary, they're passing themselves off as knowledge. They're basically commentaries, whether it's a podcast or whatever other form of media, TikTok, it's all commentary. So there'll be changes in that too. It's going to take time. So I want you to really be patient. This requires patience, diplomacy, tact for the United States overall. Now, each one of you has a personal year as well. I don't know what it is. It's from your month and day. So maybe say what's today, January 3rd. So 1 + 3 is a 4. You would add that to the number 9. And so if I was born January the 3rd, then I would look at that and say, well, this is a 4 year for me. And I would have to work hard. And there's all qualities about what that means. So you want to take a look at this, what this means overall for the United States. It's going to have to be much more patient than it likes. It's going to have to be more compromising. Right now, everything is putting tariffs, and a lot of stuff is what I'll call just bluster to try to get another side to negotiate better, or try to find out if we can get a better deal. So this is all part and parcel of this time period. So take it with a grain of salt. So this year, patience, compromise. I think the first half of the year will be fairly solid, prosperity-wise, I do. I'm not sure about the second half. I'll have to sign in June and we'll go over that, the second half. But right now, I think what's going to be surprising is the things that do not get done. That were promised, quote, in the first 100 days. There will be a push on immigration. There will be a push, in other areas that, investigations by the Judicial Department and all that. People don't really want retribution. They don't want it. They just want a system that gives better economy for people to buy groceries, pay their rent and mortgages, and not be scrimping around, and that their job is not being taken by an immigrant. So all of that is really what they tried to elect somebody on. So we'll see how much of that gets fulfilled. I think there'll be a disappointment by the end of the year. There's a tendency for leaders. We're talking about not somebody who's running a campaign. Now they have to lead. And what happens is it inevitably happens, they overreach. And when they overreach, there's a backlash. And when they overreach, there's resentment. So that is what's going to become from this election. Resentment and backlash, but it's going to take some time. So I hope this gives you a little bit more sense of what's happening. Take it with a grain of salt. Take care of your own life. Take care of your health. It's going to be a show to watch. The democracy will survive. Okay, it has to go through this change. It's done this before. For those who were here in the 70s, you should remember those because they're very similar to this chaos and all the assassinations we had, and then we had the Iran hostages and all that kind of stuff, and that ended with Reagan. And now we're back in this chaos again, and we're ending with whoever does the next election. And right now, all these candidates are vying position for 2028, including J.D. Vance. He's a natural to want to run in 2028. So what's going to be his competition? So we'll talk again. We'll try to do this every 6 months so we can fill in the second half of the year. If you need to reach me, GailMinogue.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. I hope you can join us on the 11th of January at 11 in California or wherever you are in the universe, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you.